Hello, it's October 1st, and I thought today would be a great day to start creating some Halloween cards. And I thought maybe you would like to join along with me. So the first thing we're going to do is set up our desktop by right-clicking, clicking on New and Folder, and let's just name this one Halloween Card. And let's get started by collecting images off the internet. Okay, the first thing we're going to go and get is a cute spider web for our card. So you can just go into Google, type in cute spider web, and sometimes images show right up here. And this happens to be one I like, so I'm actually just going to click on this one, let it open up. And then we're going to right click on it and we'll do a save image as. And on our desktop is our Halloween card folder. So we can just come down here and click Save. The next one we're going to need is one called Happy Halloween, and just type in Happy Halloween logo. It was the easiest to filter out, and this is the one I chose. Again, just click on it, wait for it to load, and there we go, and right click and save your image as, and it'll go right into your Halloween folder. The reason you don't see the other one is because the first one was a PNG and this is a JPEG. And the last one we're going to do is a cute spider clip art. I typed in clip art because I don't like spiders. And I'm going to choose this one here. And we're going to right click on it once it's finished loading. And we're going to save this image as. This one is also a JPEG, that is why you can see this one. And we'll click Save. And now we're done on the internet, so we can just close the internet out. The next step will be we will be opening up Make the Cut. There is a link down in the description for you. If you don't have it, it's a great little software to have. Cut 1, 2, 3. The next thing we'll be doing is opening up Make the Cut. Make the Cut is a pretty nice software, and I will give you a link in the description below. Once Make the Cut is open, we're going to work on the base of our card. So it automatically opens up a new project and a default page with a default layer. So the first thing we'd like to do is come over to Import Basic Shapes, and the base of our card is going to be 5 by 7, so you can type in REC for the rectangle that we will need. Double click on that and hit the X. Now that that is done, we're going to come over here to the padlock, make sure it's green, and we're going to make the card 5 by 7, so it's 5 wide and 7 high. And just click enter, and there we go. The next step what we're going to do is we're going to add a spider web. And the spider web is going to be the front of the card, and this is the back of the card. So we just come over here to Pixel Trace, and here is our Halloween card folder and all the items that we collected on the internet. So we'll take the spider web and notice the name, and we're going to open it. Over here you can see that it actually gave it the name and shows you a picture. Because it's a black and white image, it got really nice lines and it's nice and smooth. And we're just going to import that and select Finish Tracing. Now that it's done, if you notice the lines are rather small, and what we can do is just come in here and select a shadow layer, and we're going to make them thicker. If blackout is on, uncheck that, and come over here to your shadow width and change this to a 0.5. And you will see how it makes the lines thicker. The red is the original and the black is now your new lines. And accept that. Now you can see that you have your original clip art name and your shadow layer. We do not need the clip art anymore since it's too small. We can just delete that. And now we have our spider web and our base of our card. Let me just change the color of the spider web so you can see. In the front of the card is going to sort of look like that. Now I want the spider web the same height as the card, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to lock the padlock, and I'm going to change the height of the spider web to 7. I'm going to leave the width alone because the padlock is locked and it'll automatically change the width. And there you go. The next step I'm going to do is align the spider web to the top of the back of the card. So you select the spider web, hold down the shift key, and select your background. And then just hit T on your keyboard and the top will automatically align. And since the spider web is 7 and the card is 7, we can now just zoom in and see that the top, or the bottom and the top, are aligned. Now let's align the right hand side here. Click off to the mat to deselect, and then when you click on the spider web you can see the edges turn red. So click on that, use your left arrow key and just slowly drag it over to the edge. There we go, nice and easy. Now we're going to need something that attaches the spider web to the card, and we also need to split the spider web. So let's split the spider web first. So we'll come over here to our basic shape and we're going to select our rectangle again. Now that the rectangle is here, we come up here and we're going to unlock it because we're going to keep it at 1/2 inch, but we want it 7 inches tall. So change the height to 7, and there we go. Now we can select the rectangle and the back layer, and we can hit L on our keyboard to line up the left. We can also hit T on the keyboard to make sure the top is aligned. Now I put it on this layer, so let's click on the rectangle and we're going to put it on its own layer, and there it is now above the spider web. The next step we're going to do is select the spider web and the rectangle, and we're going to come over here to what they call boolean join, or I call boolean join. And we're going to select that, and we're going to, from the drop down menu, select B minus A difference and apply. And you can see that the spider web now has like a split line right through it, but it's still one piece. So what we're going to do is come over here, and we're actually going to split the spider web into 2 parts. Now see, there's the first and there's the second. We don't need this piece, so we're just going to hit delete on our keyboard, or you can hit the X. Now what I'd like to do is change it back so we can see. And we're going to come back over to the rectangle again, and as before, you're going to select the rectangle, make sure it's unlocked, the height is going to be 7, the width is going to be 1/2 inch, and just hit enter. And since it's still selected, just hit L to bring it over to the left. Oops, hit the background and L, the rectangle, and L to bring it over to the left, and T to make sure it's on the top. Now we can select the spider web and the rectangle by just clicking on the whole layer up here, and we can just zoom in. You can either do it here and zoom in, or if you're using a mouse you can hit the control key and the wheel and let it zoom in. Okay, now over here, as you can see, the lines are just butted up. If you put your mouse over the rectangle, you'll see the red, and you can see that it's just butted next to each other. What we need to do is take the spider web and our left arrow key and just click on it until these 2 pieces are actually disappeared. There we go. It's about 4 or 5 clicks. Now we can select the spider web, shift key the rectangle, and come over here to our weld button. We're going to weld it all together. Let me just change that to orange again so you can see that it all nice clean weld. And it's all lined up. So now let's just scroll this down and you can start seeing that we're going to get extra layers here that are empty. Just come over to the garbage can anytime and delete your layers that have nothing on them. Now what we're going to do is zoom out so you can see. And we're going to take the spider web and bring it over here. And let's just hit the mirror button. Now we can zoom into the edge. And you can see that there's an overlap. That's actually pretty good. And now we can just select the spider web. Shift key the background so that they're both selected. And just hit T and watch them line up together. And now that they were overlapped just slightly, we can come over here and weld. And now we have the base of our card and the front of our card. Now we're going to open up another page. No, we're not going to open up another page. What we're going to do is make another layer on top. So let's just click on the plus sign, the big plus sign, and there's our new layer. We're going to add an import shape, and we're going to select a rectangle again, and it's right here. So what we're going to do now is take this rectangle and click on and drag it over to this corner until we get these arrows, and we're just going to drag it until we get right about there. We don't want it over hanging over the edge of the card, just under a little bit. And let's see what we've got, 6.9 by 5, so that's pretty good. It doesn't have to be anything special. And let's change this to white so we can see. And our next step will be on the same layer, make sure it's selected, is come over here and we're going to import the word Happy Halloween. Select on that, put it on its own layer. It looks really clean the way it imported itself. The lines are fine. It looks great. And we're going to import and select finish tracing. Let me zoom out a little bit. And this is going to be the inside of our card. So click on it until you get your arrows, and we can just resize this any way we like. Oops, not that one. To keep that from moving, you can click on the eye so you can't see it, or you can padlock it so it doesn't move. And same thing for the spider web. Just padlock it so you can't edit it or move it. And then we can just move the Happy Halloween to where we like. And I probably want a little bit more black showing now that I've put that on there. And that looks good. And put the Happy Halloween anywhere you want. Okay, now this will be the inset of our card. And on the, let me hide these pieces for you. On the Halloween card, there's actually going to be, we added a 1/2 inch. So this is actually where we're going to score in a 1/2 inch. So you want to watch that because the H in Happy Halloween, if you look at this bar, is pretty close to the score line. So this is actually going to get covered. So what we want to do is go in 1 inch from the edge, because this will be folded over, so it'll come all the way over to here. So our Happy Halloween is actually too big. So let's just bring it down to maybe in between these two lines, and there you go. So now when it's folded over, the Happy Halloween will be there, and you can actually just put something here so that it's decorative if you want, but that's all in the decorating. This is the cutting and learning how to use software part. Okay, now that Happy Halloween is completed, we're going to hit the insert piece and the Happy Halloween with the shift key, and they both should be selected. If they're, oh, it's locked. We have to unlock it first. And there we go. Now let's go over to copy and select delete because we want to get rid of those and not keep those on the same thing. Our new page, and we're going to call this insert print. Okay, now we're going to hit paste in place, and we're going to zoom out so we can see what we're doing. And this is the inside of our Halloween card. What we're going to now do is just bring it over here for a little bit and come up to File, Print Preview, and you can see it says Happy Halloween. Well, this is going to be cut out, and I kind of need the exact placement of that Halloween. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add a shadow layer to the base. So click on the base, come down here to the shadow layer. We don't need it as wide as the other one, so I'm just going to make it 0.025 and accept that. And there's our shadow layer. Now when we come over here to print preview, you can see that there is an actual line to cut. Now you can cut this out by hand, or if you have a scan and cut, you can cut it out that way by scanning it. The next thing to do is set up on my print options, and I want to see what the paper on the mat to make sure where it's going to print. And that looks pretty good to me. I could save on my paper if I wanted to, and I could rotate this and print it that way. I'm just going to leave it as it is for now. So our next step would be to just come over here to File and to Print. Select our printer. I have actually another printer that just does black ink because it's cheaper than my big heavy duty one. And check your properties. It's usually set to fast draft. Yeah, let's do normal and okay. And then just okay, put in some cardstock or light print, paper. Something that will be able to cut on your mat, or if you're doing it by hand, you can just use your printer paper. And let's open up another window now, and we're going to add this one. It's going to be called Spider. Simple. We're going to learn how to layer now. Printing's done. I'll just put this off to the side, and we will remove the print option so that we don't see the paper and get distracted. Okay. Now let's go into Pixel Trace, and we're going to learn how to layer. Select this adorable little spider, and we're going to black this out and apply our changes. And we have now a base for our spider. Import. We're going to continue tracing because now I want part of the body. So we can go into Color, and we can select the body. Apply our changes, and there we go. You can see that it's going to pick up extra stuff here, and that's okay. We're going to edit all of this stuff later. So we can import that. We're going to continue tracing. Zoom back out here because I need the whites of the eyes. So we'll select the white, apply, and you can see that it selected all of the white, but again, don't worry, we're going to edit this and get rid of it very easily. So we're going to import again, continue tracing, and now we're going to select the black of the eyes, and we're going to apply, and we got the black of the eyes, and we got the legs, but we don't need the legs. But just import, and now we're done, so we can select finish tracing. I didn't worry about the mouthpiece. Alrighty, now that our little spider is done, let's get rid of this one layer, because we're going to have a bunch of layers to work with. If we click on the spider, you can see it came in all these different parts. We have the base, so you can select on him, put him on his own layer by the little plus sign here, and turn it off, hide it. Now let's work on this guy. What we're going to do is we only want this piece, but there's lots of other pieces. So we're going to select him, and we're going to put him on his own layer too. and reselect it and break it. By breaking it, we separate all of these pieces, and now you can see there's a lot of pieces to the spider. We only want, let's deselect, we only want this piece, the center. So we select the center, come over here, and we're going to put him on its own layer. Alright, now that it's all caught up, we will take this piece that has all the extra dots, and we'll delete that layer. Now this happened because I kept clicking new layer, and we're just going to come down to this garbage can again and get rid of empty layers. Now let's hide this part of the spider, and let's work on the white of his eyes. Again, we're just going to come over here and break it. All we want is these two pieces, so deselect it by clicking off of it. Hold down your shift key. Bring your mouse over to one eye, click, holding the shift key still, click the other eye. Let's move them to their own page. And I forgot to delete those, but that's alright. Let's just hide those. And if you forgot like I did, you could just hit the and get rid of the pieces. Now this guy, all we're going to have is the whites. You can keep the leg parts if you want, but we're not going to use them on this demonstration. So we're going to select the break, which happens very fast because it was very clean. Hold down the shift key, click on the pupil, still holding the shift, click on the other one, put it on its own path, and we can now delete the legs. And there's all the parts to our spider. The body, or the legs, the base, the body, the eyes, and the pupils. And the body of my spider is actually going to be purple, so let's see if it will work. No, I'm losing my memory here. Okay, we'll just make them green for now. So you get an idea of your different paper pieces. This will be black. There, give it more of a definition. And the eyes are already black. And the whites of the eyes. Okay. Now what we're going to do is come over here to this arrow and select all. And just click inside the box anywhere. Again, this will warp it, and this will give it the proper resizing. Now if you come over, he's going to go on the inside of the card if you want, or the outside of the card. So let's just copy him and see if we can, where we want to put him. Do we want to put him on the other side of this? Let's see how big we've made him. Actually, we did pretty good. So if you want to put them on the outside of the card, you know basically what size you want to make it. If you want to put it on the inside of the card, I would go into the print one and see how big you want to make them. It actually turned out fine the way we got them, so we're going to leave them as it is. Now if you don't have a scan and cut, you'll have to separate all of these pieces and set them to your cutter separately. The scan and cut, as long as they're on separate layers, they are fine. You don't have to move them apart. You can leave him together. So let's just leave him over here, and we're gonna get ready to cut out our spiderweb card. The only thing we're gonna need is some white paper, which I'm actually going to use the Happy Halloween that I printed, the black from the front of the card, and a small piece of green. So I'm gonna have to cut this out on 2 different times, so for the mat, because they're not all gonna fit on the mat, because I'm using a full 8.5 by 11 black sheet here and an 8.5 by 11 here. So that is bigger than 12 by 12. So now all we have to do is do a come down here to the arrow, select this. It should have selected it. It did. It's just slow. Come to File, and we're going to export this to an SVG, and we're going to save it in the Halloween card as base black. Okay. We don't need to save this one because we're going to scan it, and we're going to select this one, all of it, by selecting the arrow down here, and export this one as an SVG, as in spider. Okay, and let's turn on the scan and cut, and if it's hooked up to your computer, you can see that it just popped open its own special drive. I can go on my desktop, and there's my Halloween card, and this is an SVG. So I'm going to come down here to the drive that it made. See, there's nothing on it, and I'm going to drag in the spider, and I'm going to drag in the card. And let's go over and click on that, and you can see that they're both in there. So let's head over to the scan and cut.